Let me record this.
Okay, sir.
And yeah, so we are going to start the subject called risk because your P3 paper
Okay,
is
sir.
all about the risk management. So let's discuss what
Mm-hmm.
is a risk, Jayakumar. When you say
Okay,
risk
okay, sir.
something, what is it? What do you know about risk?
Uncertainty. Uncertainty, sir.
Yeah,
Unexpected things will happen.
uncertainty. Yeah, it's something like
Uh-huh.
this. Now, whenever we do something, we have an objective to achieve, isn't it? Now,
Yep, yep.
you are basically thinking of getting to the P3 paper, and you are putting up an
Mm-hmm.
action plan to get through that paper by
Uh-huh.
doing this online tuition, right? So that
Okay,
is
sir.
your action
Yeah.
plan. Why action
Uh-huh.
plan? That is to achieve your objective of getting to the paper. So that's your
Yes, sir.
plan. The risk
Mm-hmm.
is that it may
Mm.
work, it may not work according to the plan. It
Okay,
may
sir.
not work according to the plan. When I say it may not work according to the plan, you might think
Mm-hmm.
you may not get through the exam. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
That's the risk.
Yes, sir.
That's the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Okay.
sometimes it can
Okay,
be
sir.
something you expect to get through the exam with just a pass. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
you might get
Okay,
much
sir.
more than what you expected. You might get something
Okay,
like
sir.
a prize or something. That is also risk.
Uh-huh.
That is
Okay,
basically
sir.
anything not going according to the plan is a risk.
Okay, sir.
If,
Okay, sir.
if things are going bad against the plan, then it is what we
Uh-huh.
call a PO risk or a
Okay,
negative
sir.
risk. If the things are
Okay, sir.
going much more than better than the plan, then we call it a positive risk.
Okay, sir.
Right? So generally when
Yep.
we talk about the bad things that can happen. So, before we put a vehicle on the road, we take insurance cover. Why? Because there's a
Okay.
risk
Yes,
that
sir.
we might meet with an accident.
Mm-hmm.
When we take a new building, we take a fire insurance. Why? Because there's a risk
Yeah.
that you might get caught for fire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Our life we insure.
Yes.
So like that, we
Yeah.
see certain things may not happen according to the plan, and to and
Mm-hmm.
to and to get over that, we take certain measures. So that's what generally we call it a risk. In
Okay, sir.
businesses, we don't want things to go very much against our plan. Not in business, I
Mm-hmm.
mean anything, we don't want things to go very much against our plan. So what we do is
Mm-hmm.
basically we try to
Mm-hmm.
minimize things that can
Mm-hmm.
happen which can go
Mm-hmm.
against the plan. For example, when you put
Okay,
up a
sir.
building, we want the building to stay for 100 years. So
Yeah.
we don't want it to get caught for fire. If it get caught for fire,
Uh-huh.
we don't have a building, we can't do our business. So what do? We go
Okay,
and
sir.
take insurance cover.
Okay. Yeah.
So if something happens, at least we will have money to put up another new building, right?
Okay, sir.
In business, one of the biggest risk is frauds. Frauds happening.
Okay, sir.
Some employee may
Mm.
cheat you, some take money. So to avoid that one,
Mm-hmm.
we have certain things called internal controls.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Internal control. So that's what
Yeah.
we call a risk. So let's take a
Okay, sir.
definition of a risk.
Okay, sir.
I'm going to share this PowerPoint slides with you later on.
Okay, sir.
So what is risk? Risk is business is the chance that the future events or results may not
Mm-hmm.
be as expected. Right?
Okay, sir.
We expected to make a profit of $10 million, but
Okay, sir.
the chance that it may not do 10 million, as you rightly said, it's about uncertainty. It may not be 10 million, it may be 7 million,
Okay, sir.
or it may be even 12
Okay,
million,
sir.
right?
Okay, sir.
So it can be better
Yes, sir.
than what we expected, it can be worse than what we expected. So that is what we call risk. Negative risk is things going worse than what we expected. Now you want to get to the
Okay, sir.
exam, if the negative
Mm-hmm.
risk is your chances of failing the exam.
Okay, sir.
Right? And that can have an
Yes, sir.
impact upon your personal life, on your plans, everything. So that's what we call a
Okay, sir.
negative risk. The other opposite
Okay,
side of
sir.
negative risk is what we call upside risk.
Okay, sir.
Upside risk is things doing much better than we expected. Because sometimes when the students sit for the exam, they tell me, sir, I did not do very well. I think we have to get ready for the next time. So I say, just wait. Sometimes they don't expect to get through the exam, but they have got through the exam. It can happen.
Okay, sir. Hmm.
When we have speculative risk, it's a two-way risk. It can either go bad or it can go good.
Mhm.
Now, for example, in a business, you launch a new product. When you launch a new
Okay,
product,
sir.
it might go according to the plan, or it might be doing
Mhm.
better than the plan, or it might do worse than the plan.
Okay, sir.
So that's a risk that we have to take all the time. So the next question is what you said about risk. What you said about risk
Mhm.
is uncertainty. Now I'm going to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
you uncertainty is different from risk. Let me explain.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Risk is you know that the possible outcome.
Uh-huh.
You are not exactly
Okay,
sure
sir.
what the outcome will be, but we know the
Mhm.
possibility or the risk of the possible outcome. It can rain or it
Okay,
may
sir.
not rain, something like that.
Okay, sir.
Right? So there
Okay,
are
sir.
only two possible outcomes. At least you know
Mhm.
all the outcomes that can happen. Uncertainties you
Okay.
don't know anything about.
Okay.
Don't know
Yeah.
whether it's going to rain or not. Something like that.
Okay, sir.
Uncertainty. Right?
Okay, sir.
The
Okay,
outcomes
sir.
and
Okay, sir.
chances are not known. So that's what we
Okay,
call
sir.
that is why generally risks are something which we can calculate. We can say there's a
Okay, sir.
60% chance the product will be successful
Okay,
in
sir.
the market. 40% chance the
Okay, sir.
product will not be successful in the market. We can do certain customer survey, certain market survey and find out the
Okay, sir.
possible success or the failure of the project, of the product.
Okay, sir.
Uncertainty means
Okay, sir.
no idea. If some person
Okay,
asks,
sir.
hey Gerard, what's going to happen to the product? I'm not very sure,
Mhm.
man. That's a kind of answer. That is
Okay, sir.
uncertainty. So uncertainty
Okay,
is
sir.
not at all good. Not at all good.
Okay, sir.
Why do we have
Okay.
uncertainty? The reason why we have
Mhm.
uncertainty is when we don't have enough information, when we don't have
Okay, sir.
enough knowledge.
Okay, sir.
Now you are basically an accountancy student, right? But if
Okay,
you
sir.
try to do medicine today, you go into
Okay,
an
sir.
area, a territory which you don't know anything. No
Yes, sir.
knowledge
Yes, sir.
of medicine, no knowledge of bioscience, no knowledge of
Mhm.
the knowledge and no information
Mhm.
also, you will be just going
Mhm.
blind. So if
Yeah.
some person asks, hey, will you become a doctor? I don't know, man, because I have absolutely no idea. I don't have any knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
any,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
luck
Yeah.
you might. But that's not
Okay.
what a business is. Business is
Okay.
you take risk and do certain things, uh,
Okay.
and you can sort of calculate or you can say with probability it is going to
Uh-huh.
be like this or it's going to be like.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So uncertainty is not good. So if there is now,
Mm.
I remember I was working we were doing a business, but another
Mhm.
competitor, uh, he wanted to
Mhm.
go into every area. So he also
Mhm.
started doing the same business as what we were doing. So I asked their
Okay.
CEO one day, what do you know about this
Mhm.
business? Right?
Uh-huh.
Then he said, I don't know anything. Then I asked, what
Uh-huh.
information do you have? He said, I don't have any
Uh-huh.
information. So he was
Uh-huh.
just going blindly without proper
Uh-huh.
information, proper knowledge to do a
Uh-huh.
particular business just because we were doing, just because we were
Uh-huh.
successful. He also want to do, and
Mhm.
that is not a very good thing.
Okay.
So
Okay, sir.
how to convert the uncertainty into risk? Uncertainty
Mhm.
must be
Mhm.
removed by having
Mhm.
more knowledge and having more
Yeah.
information.
Okay, sir.
That's why we take people
Mhm.
like SIMA qualified people who have knowledge. They
Mhm.
can remove that
Mhm.
uncertainty. They can do a good
Mhm.
cash flow forecast and show the
Mhm.
management, look here, if you go on like this, we will
Mhm.
be having cash problems in end of December. But if you don't have the knowledge, you will just go on till December and suddenly you find, oh my God, we have a cash flow problem.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
And information.
Yes, sir.
If you don't have information, it's very, very difficult to run a business. Today we live in a world
Okay, sir.
where there's so much of competition, so much of
Okay,
stress.
sir.
Why? The
Mhm.
problem is the speed at which the information is coming out. You are in Oman,
Yeah.
I'm in Sri Lanka, we are 1,000 kilometers away, but I can just
Yeah.
find out what is happening in Oman. You can find out what is happening in Sri Lanka through this chat
Yeah.
because of the technology, the speed of
Yeah.
information, communication.
Okay, sir.
Everyone knows everything what's happening in the business world in a fraction of a second.
Mhm.
Those days, 30, 40 years back, no one will get that
Okay,
kind
sir.
of information at a speed. You have to wait
Okay,
for
sir.
a couple of days to get the information. 100
Okay,
years
sir.
back, you have to wait for number of days to get the information because there was no way the
Okay, sir.
people could communicate. But today,
Okay, sir.
email, SMS,
Mhm.
Skype, WebEx, all these things have
Oh,
video conferences have brought the
mhm.
speed of information so much. So you can't even sleep today.
Mhm.
The business people even can't sleep because when they go to sleep process,
Okay.
another part of the
Okay,
world
sir.
is up and they are doing something which can have an impact upon your business.
Mhm.
The business
Okay,
has
sir.
become a global village, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not only now you are in Oman. Earlier, you
Okay,
probably
sir.
had to
Mhm.
do SEMA, you had to look for tutors in Oman. Now you don't need to.
Yeah.
You can come to a tutor
Yeah.
in Sri Lanka and get your tuition.
Uh-huh.
If you are not happy with
Yeah.
me, you can go to another part and take the tuition. Right? So
Uh-huh.
that's the
Yes,
kind of
sir.
a difference that the information has brought to the business. So having
Okay,
right
sir.
information at right time can
Okay, sir.
reduce your risk, can reduce your
Okay, sir.
uncertainty. Having
Okay, sir.
right knowledge will certainly
Mhm.
remove the uncertainty and will give you
Mhm.
a better grip of the matter.
Okay, sir.
That is what basically it is. So uncertainty can
Okay,
be
sir.
reduced through good
Mhm.
information and through good knowledge. So
Okay, sir.
you should never do a business in uncertainty. You must always
Mhm.
look for good information, knowledge, and convert uncertainty into risk. Risk is good.
Okay, sir.
You have to take.
Okay, sir.
Right? None of us in
Okay.
your lifetime, you would have seen your own experience, you never
Mhm.
would have had everything according to the way you planned. Things would have
Okay, sir.
gone
Yes, sir.
better than what you planned. Things would have gone
Okay, sir.
worse than what you planned. And business also
Mhm.
same. No one can
Mhm.
budget for a $10,001 and get a
Mhm.
$10,001.
Mhm.
It may be $15,000. It may be $8,000. So you
Okay,
can't
sir.
plan it to the exact, minute, precise details. No way.
Mhm.
So there is
Okay,
always
sir.
risk.
Okay, sir.
Whatever we do, there is a risk. Just sitting for the
Mhm.
exam. There's always a risk of you not getting to the
Mhm.
exam. There's always a
Okay.
risk of you doing much better than what you are probable of, capable of.
Okay.
So the next question is, why should we take risk? Why should business
Okay,
take
sir.
risk?
Okay, sir.
What is a risk? Now, if you are doing, say, if you are manufacturing something, right, your
Uh-huh.
competitor is manufacturing something, you also start
Okay.
manufacturing the same thing, I also
Okay.
start manufacturing the same thing, and if all of
Okay,
us are
sir.
doing the same thing,
Uh-huh.
we know it's very well, everything is happening,
Uh-huh.
we know our competitor is doing the same thing, I'm also doing the same
Uh-huh.
thing, but if you try to do
Uh-huh.
all of us do the same thing, will there be any new
Uh-huh.
products in the market?
No, sir. No.
No. Will there be any new products
Yeah.
in the market? No. Look at a man like Bill
Yeah.
Gates. What did he do?
Yeah.
He took a risk and did
Risk.
something totally new,
Yep.
introducing this Windows platform. So he went
Yeah.
something which the normal other people were not doing, he did something.
Yeah.
So when you try
Yeah.
to do something different from your
Mhm.
other people, what the others are
Okay.
not doing, it's a risk,
Okay.
right? It's a risk.
Yes, yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
If you are doing
Yeah.
the same old thing, no risk because you have been doing it for
No
last
risk, sir.
100 years. Your grandfather also
Yeah.
did, great grandfather also did, you are also doing the same thing.
Mhm.
No risk.
Okay,
You
sir.
can exactly
Yeah.
work according to a plan. But by doing that
Okay,
one,
sir.
you are not going to grow.
Uh,
You are not going
yeah.
to develop. To develop new
Yeah.
products, if you look at the world today, look at the mobile phones,
Mhm.
right? 30 years
Okay, sir.
back,
Mhm.
about 35 years back, there was nothing called a mobile
Mhm.
phone. It was the old
Yep.
that black phone we had everyone, land phone. But today,
Mhm.
everyone is using a
Mhm.
mobile phone. Why? Some
Mhm.
person took
Mhm.
a risk and introduced
Mhm.
something called a mobile phone.
Yes.
Right? So why we
Yeah.
take a risk? What for? Why should we take a risk? Why don't
Okay.
we do the same old thing?
Yeah. Want to get more return, more
More return by what?
finan-
Yes, you're right. To get a more return, yes, you want to get a more return because
Yeah.
we want to get a better return than my competitor, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So to
Yes.
get
Yes. Sir.
that one, what do? I take a risk and do something different, which will give me
Yes.
something what we call competitive
Yeah.
advantage.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Understand? In your E3, you would have
Understood,
discussed
sir.
something called
Understood, sir.
competitive advantage. I want to have
Yep. Yep. Yep.
something edge over my competitor. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
why we do something different. We don't want to do the
Yeah.
same old thing what my grandfather did. I want to
Yep.
do something
Yep.
totally
Yep. Yep.
different because I want
Mm-hmm.
my business to go
Mm-hmm.
beyond my
Mm-hmm.
competitor. So we take
Okay,
this
sir.
for two reasons.
Okay.
Increase get
Huh?
that competitive advantage. Of
Okay, sir.
course, we may fail. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different story.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Mm-hmm.
have to do something
Mm-hmm.
different. The people who have
Okay, sir.
succeeded in the world are people who have done
Mm-hmm.
something different. Look at this Facebook, right? Some man
Okay,
came
sir.
out with the
Mm-hmm.
idea of a
Mm-hmm.
social network called Facebook and see how much
Mm-hmm.
of millions of dollars he has made. He did
Mm-hmm.
something different.
Yep.
Right? So when you get
Yep.
that competitive advantage over your competitor, what you get is
Mm-hmm.
increased financial return.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So by taking a risk, we get a competitive
Yeah.
advantage, and by
Advantage.
that competitive
Leads
advantage,
to
our idea is to get an increased financial
more
return.
return.
This is
Yes,
what
sir.
we
Yes,
do.
sir. Okay, sir.
So why should we take risks? What are the benefits of taking risks?
Taking risk. Okay,
Now,
sir.
any activity,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the activity you do, you are sitting for the semi-exam. Where are you working?
Yep.
What is the work you are doing, Jairan? We
Sir,
know
I'm
one?
working as a lecturer, sir.
You
Yeah,
are
I'm
working.
working as a lecturer, sir.
Right, good, very good. So you're working
Yeah.
as a lecturer. Lecturer in which area?
Yep. Accounting, sir.
Okay, good, great. Right. So you are
Okay,
lecturing
sir.
accountancy there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
always
Yep.
there is certain things what we do with very low
Okay, sir.
risk.
Okay, sir. In
Very low
Come
risk.
again, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Certain things what we do is of a high risk. Right.
Yes, sir.
Now teaching
Yes, sir.
P3 students for me, it's a low risk
Yep.
because I have
Yes,
been
sir.
doing it for a long period of time. I know
Yes,
the
sir.
P3 syllabus
Yep.
very well. I can do it very well. But if I try to
Okay, sir.
do E3, it's not my
Okay,
favorite
sir.
area. It's a high risk.
Okay, sir. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So there are in
Yeah.
business also, there are certain things which we continue to do. Every day we do,
Okay, sir.
and we know exactly
Mm-hmm.
what we are doing. It's a low risk area.
Mm-hmm.
But if we try
Yes,
to
sir.
do something new, something different, it can be a
Yep.
high risk game.
High risk. Yep.
And why do we do to take risk?
Mm-hmm. Hello? Hello?
Give me a minute.
Come again, sir?
Give me a minute.
Okay, sir.
Why do we take a risk? As I said, to get that competitive advantage.
Competitive advantage.
And
Yes.
this is why we take all the people are doing all sorts of crazy things, new things,
Mm-hmm.
different things every day to get that
Mm-hmm.
competitive advantage. Competitive advantage also can be a very low competitive advantage.
Advantage. Yep.
It can be a very high competitive advantage.
Advantage. Yes.
Right? So, if you are in
Yes, sir.
business, obviously,
Mhm.
we don't want to take too much of a risk. As much
Yep.
as possible, we want to work on easy tasks, isn't it?
Less risk.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You are going to teach accountancy, which you know.
Yep.
You don't want to teach
Yep.
chemistry or physics, which you don't know. So you want to
Yes,
work
sir.
on an area where you know where the risk is very low. Of
Mhm.
course, you will be looking all the time for that high
Okay, sir.
competitive advantage. I'm sure one
Okay, sir.
reason you went to Oman is because there you might have a better competitive advantage rather than trying to do
Yep.
it in your own country, India, because in
Yes,
India
sir.
you might
Yep.
find many lecturers and you might not get
Yes.
that kind of a competitive advantage.
Yes, sir.
Right? So generally the
Yep.
business first preference will be to do things but we have a low risk and a high competitive advantage.
Yeah, advantage. Yes.
So those are the opportunities we must identify and explore.
And it's,
And I'm sure this is what you did, right? You knew
yep.
accountants is your forte and you want to get the competitive advantage. You went to a country called Oman and that is what you have explored. So every
Yep.
business should be looking for areas where we have a low risk and a low and a high
High
advantage. High competitive. That's
advantage.
your first preference.
Okay,
Second
sir.
preference will be low activity and low competitive risk.
That we will not do, sir. It's routine.
It's routine every day because no
Okay, sir. Okay.
harm, right? Nothing much of a
Yeah.
big advantage, nothing much of a big risk. I continue to do so,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
now, for example, as far as I'm concerned, I'm all right with my P3. It's a low risk area, and wherever I can get a high advantage, like going for this overseas online, I will try and explore all over. Right?
Yep.
Teaching in Sri Lanka, it's nothing much of a big competitive advantage, nothing much of
Yep.
a big risk. I will continue to do because it's very routine
Yeah.
for me. Then the next area is to go for high risk, high competitive advantage.
Okay,
You
sir.
can't always have low risk, high competitive advantage. You have to look for new opportunities where high risk, whatever
And
risk,
high competitive
but high
advantage. Yeah.
competitive advantage. From
Yes.
Oman, you might want to go to some other country and take a bit of
Okay,
a
sir.
bigger risk and to take a bigger competitive advantage. I'm told
Okay, sir.
countries like Vietnam and Cambodia, there's a big opportunity for people to come and teach students.
Okay, sir.
But those things, before you go, you will examine it very carefully. You don't want to lose your job in Oman and go to Vietnam without exploring, without examining it very carefully. Isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Then what about the high risk, low competitive advantage? Very little advantage, but a big risk to do that one. What do you do with that kind of a thing?
High risk and low competitive
You
advantage,
will
sir.
avoid.
Yep.
You will avoid.
Teaching chemistry and
Yeah, because teaching
yeah.
chemistry is I don't have a
Yeah.
big team because I can't even charge a good fee because
Yeah. Yeah.
people know that
Yeah.
I don't have any qualifications and it's a big
Yeah.
risk. I avoid it.
Yeah.
This is the
Definitely,
way the
sir.
businesses are exploring the new opportunity. They will always look for low activity, high competitive, then look for low risk, low competitive, then also look for high risk, high competitive, finally high risk, low competitive, just forget about it.
Okay, sir.
So every time when the board of directors, now you're at a strategic level, you must remember, strategic level means you are basically working with the board of directors. Your case study is all about, you being a very special advisor to the board of directors.
Okay.
You have to get
Okay,
that
sir.
mentality into your mindset whenever we are looking for strategic things, you have to think either you are a director of a company or you are advising to the director. So there may be a certain project coming up and they will ask Gerard, hey, what do you think? Should we go with this project? So you have to put it into this map and see, is it worthwhile to go ahead with? That is what your role in your case study, that is what your role as a strategist in business. What is strategy? Strategy is a long-term action plan backed by resources. Right? It is basically not a short-term one. It's not a medium-term one. It's a long-term one. It's a big long-term one. And why do we have that kind of a plan? Because we want to achieve our long-term objectives. Long-term objectives cannot be achieved with little resources. We must have resources. Right? When you took over your career as CIMA accountant, you would have thought about the cost of the money that you need to spend to do the CIMA exam. Right? And you would have also thought about the time availability. You probably wanted to start sometime back the CIMA, but you had to delay it till you got settled down in Oman, till you had enough resources to do the lessons. Right? That's the same way the businesses will go. Businesses can have super plans, but they can't support every plan unless they have resources. Resources is not only money. Resources also having right people. You might want to set up a complete new tuition thing in Oman. Right? But you can't do that one because you have to have you have to have enough resources to buy a building or a land and to advertise and to promote all that. Till such time you will work with some other person doing the lecturing. Because I know CIMA is very well they are trying as much as possible to promote in countries like Oman and all the Dubai countries. They are doing very well to promote because they know there's big scope for CIMA in those areas. Because now in UK, they have found not many students are doing CIMA. So they are going into other areas to promote because they see in UK it has become very routine for them. Low activity, no risk, and low competitive advantage. Now, because ACC is doing, all the others are doing, and in fact the research has told that most of the students are not doing CIMA. Most of the students are not even doing accountancy. Right? So they are exploring high important areas, and I'm sure they are taking a little bit of a risk and going into the Middle East and appointing tutors and working on mostly on online. I'm doing some classes for at the fundamental level, the business accounting tree and all that for Dubai International School. I do it online from here, and they are paying me. The CIMA is paying me. Right? So they are promoting CIMA at that level. And last time for all the strategic students, they had some free classes, free. They paid me and got me to do free classes for their students. So, now, types of risk. So definitely you have to think about all kind of risk. But this is not very universal. Not there is no something saying this is the way that we must categorize the risk. Broadly, here we can categorize risk: political, legal, and regulated. Whenever we try to do a business, we must see the political stability of the country in which we want to operate. Whether it is India, whether it is USA, whether it is in Sri Lanka, we have to see, or Oman, we have to see the political aspirations, political will of the politicians in trying to do business. So we have to see. Now, example, in America, we have a new president. We are still not sure what his direction is going to be. So we have to look at, right? Middle East countries are generally stable because they have a sort of a emperor or a king or some person who is,
Monarchy.
yeah, that's correct, monarch.
Yeah.
So they are generally, the policies are very, very stable.
Yep.
So we know that, unless something happens to him, generally things can be very stable. But a country like UK, with the change of the government, things can change. India, we can see the changes happening all the time,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
India, even though the political setup may change, generally their bureaucracy is very strong. They generally have their
Yeah.
policies well laid, and they will go with the policy, even if there's a change of government. But a country like Sri Lanka, every time when the politicians change, the policies also change.
Yes, sir.
So we have to be very, very careful when we try to do business in Sri Lanka. Today you are in the with a certain political setup. Tomorrow morning the government changes, and they can take
Yes, sir.
from 360-degree turn, and you don't know. Legal. This is another area, right? The laws. The last week I do a little bit of advising to our Prime Minister in Sri Lanka. So we had a drought here, and the cabinet decided to import some, allowed the people to import rice. So all the people who had the money and the context, they started importing rice. And guess, just after the rice came here, after all the money invested by the business people, our finance minister went and imposed the tax on the imported rice. The whole plan of the rice importers was completely jeopardized by the finance minister's act, which was perfectly legal, but certainly not a good thing. And that was a big risk. Later on, all the rice importers came and met the Prime Minister and said, look here, we imported rice because you said it's tax-free and all that. And after the shipment came, your finance minister has put up a tax. These things do happen in this part of the world very much, right? Because so that can happen to any one of us who is running a business. Regulation, right? What do you mean by regulation? There's some kind of government intervention. It can be on pricing, right? It can be on pricing. You produce a product and they say maximum retail price cannot be so more than this. So the story of the rice here, immediately after that, the Prime Minister said, okay, don't put that tax, it's not fair, remove the tax. But he removed the tax, and next morning he said the maximum selling price is so much.
Okay, sir.
So can you see? Again another risk, right? You produce some for certain things thinking that you can sell it at a certain price. Suddenly the government says, from tomorrow morning, the maximum selling price is so much, control price. Or they can put a regulation saying that you can't use the water because there's a drought season. You can't use the water from the main system. You have to have your own groundwater, whatever it may be. Even to the extent here in Sri Lanka with some of these crazy people here, they said even the groundwater cannot be used without the permission of the government. So, big risk for the people. You make your business capital investment, you employ people and you start business, suddenly these things can come and upset your plan. Business risk, right? Whenever we do something, we do have something called a business risk, right? Business risk is all the time the product that what you want to launch or to introduce may catch up the attention of the people or may not. Okay. We can do all the surveys, everything, but when the product comes into the market, it may not catch up. Or it may catch up, but a new product may come from the competitor and then your product get outdated or people will no longer interested in your product. So these are all what we are inherent in the business. Economic risk. Now this it's all about the inflation, it's all about the interest rates. In countries, there can be a lot of economic policies of the government the governor of the central bank of some of these countries get up early morning and he thinks, let's raise the interest rate.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
raise the interest rate.
Yeah.
So he increases the interest rates by whatever the gazette notification or something. He says the minimum interest rate you must charge is so much. You thought it was 8%, now it is 10%. So your cash flow, everything is completely out.
Okay.
That can happen. Inflation can come and upset your thing. For exchange rates, it's a big area. Exchange rates can come
Yep.
and upset, particularly if you are doing business abroad. Right?
Yep.
All these are what we call risk. Financial risk.
Yeah.
Right? You sell goods to me and you think I will pay you. You have sold big goods, big amount of goods to me. You think I will settle you, but I go bankrupt before the settlement and you don't get any money.
Yeah.
Big financial risk for you. Your cash flow will
Yeah.
get upset. Anything that is going to upset your financial statements, whether it is the statement of financial position, whether it is the profit or loss, whether it is the statement of cash flow, is a risk.
Yes.
You might find, if you remember a long time back, we had these cameras and the film rolls.
Okay, sir.
Film rolls.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What has happened to the film rolls today? Right?
Now it's
No,
the microchip came, sir.
yeah, no film rolls. Right? People are not going for film rolls before they go on a picnic or a trip. Right? The film rolls are maybe in the museum. Right? So the people who invested money on producing the film rolls completely gone. Look at the way the business is running. I was speaking to my postman this morning and I was just having a chat with him. I asked him, he said the number of letters that he has to deliver is very little because people don't use the postal now. People do all the business through emails. People do all the business through SMSs.
Yes.
Isn't it? Right? So there can be many things that happening and all that can make a big impact upon your business. So doing business today is a very, very difficult one.
Yep.
Technology risk.
Yes.
If you remember, I don't know whether you were there, but a long time back in 1988, I remember when the mobile phone came, it was that big phone which was called the brick phone, a big phone.
Yes, sir.
The Motorola phone, which was a big phone.
Yeah.
So if you are if you are somebody, once you go to a restaurant or someplace and keep that big phone on the table, everyone will look at you because they know that you are a big person. That was the way. When 1988, I remember that was the way how the people looked at. But today, if you take that big phone and keep it, people will look at you like a madman. The phones have become very smaller, slim, and we like the smaller, slim phone now. The technology came and just got just almost the big phone just disappeared from the market. I remember Motorola was the people who introduced the mobile phones. So when the Motorola introduced the mobile phones, everyone was talking about this phone, and that was the phone. I remember in that time, in 1988, I'm talking, in Sri Lanka, it was 1,25,000, big money. I also bought one of those phones at that time. Only thing what you can do is you can receive a call, you can send a call. All what we do today in the phone, games, SMSs, nothing, you can't do any of those things. Right? But we paid 1,25,000 in 88. Right? And after some time, some people called a company called Nokia in Hungary. They started producing with a different technology called digital technology, a smaller version of the phone. And some man came and told the Motorola directors, look here, there is a new phone that is coming up in the market. They could not even pronounce the name. They call it Nokia or something like that. And they said, the Motorola directors laughed. They laughed. They said, how can any person introduce a new phone to our phone? We are the pioneers. But you and I know what happened to Motorola after that. They just went out of the market.
Yes, sir.
Their phone was rejected. the new phone, the Nokia came into market. Then after that, many other phones came. So I'm told today Samsung is leading, right? So the technology has taken, and today the 88 I bought that phone for 1,25,000. Today I can buy a phone with all the features 20,000.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Technology has brought the cost of product down. 88
Yes.
1,25,000 only to send a call and to receive a call. In 2017 20,000, almost I can do anything with the phone. And today we
Yes,
are
sir.
living in a world without the mobile phone, we can't do anything. We can't
Yes, sir.
even
Yes.
go to the washroom without the phone, because the phone is all the time needed, everything. Right? So
Yep.
the technology came and entirely, so it's a big risk. We do not know what's going to happen next day,
Yep.
tomorrow. Some new technology will come. I remember when I started these online tuitions in 2007, 10 years back, there were no these
Okay, sir.
platforms and all that. People were asking, what is
Okay.
this? How can you do this? It was only Skype. But today,
Uh-huh.
you know, it has come to such a level, we do not know what the next level is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I remember
Yes.
when I did the CIMA exams, we were not allowed even to use a calculator.
Yes, sir.
That was in 1980s. We were not allowed to use a calculator. But today,
Yes, sir.
you go and sit in the exam on a computer, and the results are given within half a minute after
2
you
seconds.
sit for the
Yeah.
exam. You know whether you have got through the
Yes.
exam or not.
Yes, sir.
Technology has changed everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure very
Yes, sir.
soon, already it's happening in the Western world, very soon we will not have office. People will
Uh-huh.
be working from home.
Yes, sir. Yes.
People will be working from home. People are not going for tuition classes. People are taking
Uh-huh.
their own time and doing online lessons, online classes.
Yeah.
Your grandchildren will one day ask, what is a book? They may not see a book, right? They will only see a e-book, and they will not see this,
Okay.
the libraries and all that, what we have used for studies.
Yes, sir. Yes.
People may not see a bank. The bank,
Mm-hmm.
the grandchildren may not know what is a bank, because everything will be done through the mobile phone. No one will
Yes,
go
sir.
to a bank to collect money or do anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is all what the technology is doing today. So big
Yes,
risk.
sir.
Actually, the reality in the whole world today is we have to be very,
Mm-hmm.
very careful whenever we
Yeah.
invest and start a business. We must
Yes.
identify the risk very carefully and see
Okay.
what are the treatment we are going to give for the risk. It's like
Okay.
going to a doctor the moment we know we are sick. Even before become we sick, we have to go to a doctor and find out what sicknesses can come to us, what treatment will
Mm.
lead you.
Yep.
This is the way the business is working today. Environmental
No.
risk. This is
Yep.
another big risk that has come up. And you would have seen in your E3, you would have had come something called environmental accounting, right? We have to account for the environment. Environment brings big risk. You remember the tsunami,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Tsunami,
yes.
such
2000.
a huge risk.
2000.
Who can
Yeah.
measure that one? Who could have thought
Uh,
that kind of a risk?
Definitely.
Similarly, the
No one.
weather.
Yeah.
Today, I was having a class for the UK students in the morning. Suddenly they said it's so
Okay.
stormy, so windy,
Uh-huh.
the internet is not
Uh-huh.
working, and we had to cancel the class.
Okay, sir.
Right? So the environment is causing big problems for businesses, and also business are causing big problems to the environment.
Okay, sir.
Today, lot of business are
Mm-hmm.
causing big problems to the environment. We have lot of
Okay.
sicknesses in our world purely because of
Mm-hmm.
business people not
Mm-hmm.
being concerned about the environment, just trying to make
Okay,
money
sir.
at whatever the cost, and all that has really created lot of problems for the environment. Kidney
Okay,
disease
sir.
is all due to the polluted water what we drink. Most of our cancerous things are because we are eating all chemically treated vegetables.
Yes, sir.
All that is because the business people are causing lot to the environment, the pollution. And in
Okay.
countries like India, countries like Sri Lanka, they have filled all these marshy lands, put up all huge concrete buildings, and therefore the water levels, water beds have gone dry, all sorts of things, no water. India people are fighting for water. All those things are
Yeah.
happening because of the business
Yeah.
world, which has caused such a terror in the environment. And
Yes.
that is why when we did the IFT, you would have come across something called Global Reporting Initiative, isn't it? It's all
Yes,
about
sir.
reporting
Yes.
about your accountability to the environment,
Yeah.
reporting your
Yes, sir.
accountability to the corporate society, corporate social
Yes.
responsibility, corporate reputation risk. Any one of those
Okay.
risks about political, legal, business, economic, financial, technology, environmental, the ultimate culmination of all that risk is your corporate reputation. You violate the environment, you will be charged in the courthouse, you will be penalized, and your reputation will
Okay.
get shattered. You remember recently what
Yes, sir.
happened to the Volkswagen company, right? They did
Yeah.
something
That,
wrong.
that's a-
They manipulated
yeah.
and they said they gave the test sample cars emission levels were at a lower
Yeah.
level, but the real cars were
Okay.
emission levels at a very high level. They
Okay, sir.
cheated the public, they cheated the society, and ultimately their reputation got really damaged. Toyota, couple of years back, they had a bad model come into the market. They had to recall the
Yeah.
product, but that was a business risk, but the end result was a big reputational risk.
Okay, sir.
If you violate the laws of a country and do try something, and if you are fined, and if your license is
Uh-huh.
suspended, that is another
Yeah.
reputational risk.
Yes, sir. Yes.
If you remember the last couple of exams in SIMA, the case study,
Okay.
the people
Uh-huh.
who sat for the exam, the SIMA examiner has withheld the
Uh-huh.
results because
Uh-huh.
the reason was the the exam is held in 5 days. The same
Uh-huh.
paper you are sitting on Monday, I may sit on
Uh-huh.
Tuesday, and we are not supposed to
Okay.
talk about our exam till those 5 days are
Okay.
over. Never to put anything on email, never to put anything on any public platform, neither to discuss with
Uh-huh.
anyone till all the
Uh-huh.
5 days are over. Because you who sit for the
Okay.
exam from Oman, I may sit from Sri
Uh-huh.
Lanka next day the same paper. Because there are 5
Uh,
variants. Right?
okay, sir.
So, if you try to violate those things and do something unethical, finally, your
Uh-huh.
reputation
Uh-huh.
can suffer. So, this is
Yes,
why
sir.
SIMA is very, very focused on what we call code of ethics. We are supposed
Yes.
to maintain professional behavior in and
Uh-huh.
outside office all the time.
Uh-huh.
Not to bring
Yes,
any
sir.
disreputation to the SIMA
Uh,
Institute. Fraud is a big risk. Fraud can happen at
yes.
any level. The little
Mm.
frauds at the lower level, like, traveling claim, wrong medical claim by the small people, and also at the big
Uh-huh.
level, directors like companies like Enron cheating the
Yeah.
shareholders, big risk can happen.
Uh-huh.
And hello,
Tell, sir.
yeah, that kind of a risk can be there, and that is also very, very international risk. Today, most of the businesses, we can't just
Uh-huh.
focus on our own country. We need to get
Yeah.
out. It's a
Yeah.
way, in a way, to reduce the risk, because trying to
Yeah.
focus on your own country and trying to do things, you are getting yourself
Uh-huh.
restricted. So you want to go to
Yeah.
the global market. But when you go to the
Yeah.
global market, you have another kind of a risk, because
Yes.
imagine going to America, right?
Yeah.
We had this President Barack Obama all this time, but we have now a new
Mhm.
person called Donald Trump. We do not know what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Yeah.
I was told by a Malaysian student, all the Malaysians who have invested in America, they are withdrawing their money
Uh-huh.
because they don't know what
Yeah.
Donald Trump is up to, right? So,
Yep.
whenever we go outside our territory, we face another risk, what we call international risk. We have to go to outside territory, in order to reduce the risk, right? Because otherwise you are depending on your own country, you might not
Okay.
do enough.
Okay, sir.
So these are all kinds of risks. This is a broad categorization of risk, but this is not the only way to categorize risk. Sometimes in a question,
Okay.
in a particular business, you might want to categorize the risk in a different way. You might want to categorize the
Okay,
risk of strategic risk and non-strategic
Uh-huh.
risk, something like that.
Okay,
You
sir.
might want to categorize the risk
What?
on a product basis. So, but these are
Uh-huh.
the broad categories. You can apply many of these.
Okay, sir.
So, some of the risks are externally driven. What do you mean by externally driven? We don't have anything to do with it. It is forced on us by the external environment.
Right, sir.
It's like interest rates. Now, that's not something anything which you can do or anything about it, but
Yeah.
it can affect us. Now, today, we are
Yes.
on the February 23rd, you might decide
Yeah.
to do a project
Yeah.
in some September 2017, and you might do
Mhm.
a net present value cash flow to your board of
Mhm.
directors and say,
Mhm.
taking the today's interest rate, maybe 6%, you will do a net present
Okay.
value cash flow, and you will tell your board of directors, it's a good project, let us go ahead, right?
Yep.
So today is 23rd of February, and you say,
Yeah.
taking the present interest rates of 6%, it's a positive NPV. But you are not going to start the
Yeah.
project today. You are going to start the project
Yeah.
in September. September
Okay.
comes, interest rates have gone up to 8%.
Okay, sir.
So all your plans, what you did, now
Mhm.
not good. When you discount it at
Yeah.
8%, it's not a positive cash flow, it's a negative cash flow.
Yeah.
That can be
Yes,
a
sir.
bit of a crazy thing.
Okay,
That
sir.
can be a huge risk, but that is completely outside your control. Foreign exchange,
Mhm.
the exchange rate
Yeah.
fluctuation, right? I was
Yeah.
working in a company as the finance director a couple of years back,
Uh-huh.
and we were importing goods from China, and we had a
Uh-huh.
6 months period to settle the supply. So
Mhm.
the time we brought the goods, that was in January 2013, when we bought
Mhm.
the goods, the Sri Lanka exchange rate for the dollar was something like 100, 110 or something like that. So I was very
Okay, sir.
happy. I did cost in at 110 and added my profit
Mhm.
margin, sold the goods, and made a big profit. But when I
Yeah.
came to settle the liability in June, yes,
Mhm.
our finance minister
Okay.
has gone really crazy, and the exchange rate was
Mhm.
140.
Oh, God.
So I did my
Yes, sir.
costing thinking is 110, but I had to settle
Yeah.
it at 140. And the loss was
Okay, sir.
something like Sri Lanka rupees 50
Mhm.
million or something like that. Huge money. Our normal
Okay.
profit for the year was about 100 million. Here, on this
Okay.
particular
Yeah.
transaction, we lost half of our profit.
Uh-huh.
No one could have guessed that kind of a thing, and that was a
Mhm.
totally external driven risk.
Okay, sir.
Credit. We give credit to our customers thinking they will pay us, but they also
Yep.
can go bankrupt due to many other
Yep.
reasons. And that can
Mhm.
have an impact upon our financials.
Yes, sir.
Competition. Competition. You never
Okay,
know
sir.
what is going to be
Mhm.
competitors' product tomorrow. I'm sure in your E3 you would
Yeah.
have learned something, but which is very useful. With your two
Mhm.
eyes, the God has given us two eyes. We should be
Yeah.
always looking on business. In business, we should be
Yeah.
looking with two eyes on two
Yeah.
parties. Who are the two parties?
Okay. One is customers and another is competitors.
Customers and the competitor. You're right. We have to always
Yeah.
keep an eye on the customer, what he wants.
Yes, sir.
Because we can't give
Yeah.
what we want, we must give what
Yeah.
he wants.
Mhm.
This is what the balance
Yeah.
scorecard talks about, the customer
Yep.
perspective, right?
Yep.
And also we have to keep a
Yep.
good eye on the competitor, because the competitor can come out with
Uh,
any product that the customer wants much more than our product, and then our product will go out of the market.
Okay, sir.
Today in the modern world, if you have a third dial,
Uh-huh.
we should look at another party. Customer and the
Uh-huh.
competitor surely, who is the third party we should have a good look at. We did
Government, sir.
not the government. Government is also, yeah, government is generally in the Mendelow's matrix,
Okay, sir.
the government is
Okay.
a high power, low interest. So long as we don't
Okay.
upset them, they don't upset us.
Okay.
So long as.
Okay, sir.
But the
Okay.
other party we have to keep a very, very close watch is our suppliers.
Okay, sir.
All this time we were not bothered about the suppliers because the suppliers had to rely on us. But
Uh-huh.
suppliers today are open to the international market. If we don't treat them
Yeah.
properly, if we don't pay them
They
well,
will do.
they will go and
Mm-hmm.
supply to our competitor or to another party. We can have all the machinery, we can have all the
Mm-hmm.
labor, but if we don't have the raw
Okay.
material, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
So these are big
Right.
risks that we face in the business world in reality. These are some of the
Yeah.
good points for even for your case study. These are the
Okay.
areas that we need to keep eye. These are the areas that we are very vulnerable. Customer
Okay.
changes. The
Yeah.
customer taste can differ
Yep.
generation to generation. The toys what
Yes.
you used is not the toys what your little ones are using now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want the tab
Yes,
and the
sir.
phone as they are born,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
lot of changes are happening in the customer way that they buy the product.
Yes, sir.
Even the distribution channel, right? Those days
Mm-hmm.
people used to go to a normal boutique and buy the product. Later on they started going to a
Yes.
supermarket. Today people are not even going
Mm-hmm.
to a supermarket. They order and
Yeah.
wait online.
Yeah.
They buy it on online. And today these
Yeah.
apps have come and apps are from your phone you can order.
Yeah.
And I'm told that the next generation 5G or something which is coming up, it will even, you can immediately scan from the phone you can scan your fridge and see what is available, and the
Yeah.
fridge, the phone will tell you what is not available, and immediately you can order and, fill the fridge. Kind of a changes what
Okay,
is
sir.
happening in the world.
Yeah.
Industry changes. Industry is changing.
Okay.
As I said, the film rolls are no longer there. The big brick
Yeah.
phone is no longer there. Industry is
Yeah.
changing so heavily. So we need to be
Yeah.
fully aware of those changes. And all those are
Okay.
externally driven. Customer demand.
Okay.
A product
Mm-hmm.
that is in heavy demand today may be
Mm-hmm.
completely out of demand tomorrow.
Yes,
If
sir.
you look at 30, 40 years back, the
Yeah.
alcohol manufacturing industry, the tobacco manufacturing industry, they were the money
Uh-huh.
spinners for the most of the countries and for the business.
Uh-huh.
But today, if you look at the
Yeah.
younger generation, they are no longer
Uh-huh.
interested in alcohol. They are no longer
Uh-huh.
interested in smoking, and those companies are
Uh-huh.
now struggling a bit.
Yeah.
Regulations. As I said,
Uh-huh.
there can be a lot of regulations coming up from the regulators. So those things can have an impact upon your plan, about the impact upon
Yes.
your cash flows. Culture,
Yes.
very, very
Yeah.
important, particularly if you're going into another country, you have to be very, very
Yeah.
sensitive to the culture.
Yes, sir.
Now in the Middle East countries, certain countries are, of
Yeah.
course, I mean, they are open, but if you look at
Yeah.
a country like Saudi Arabia, they have a very, very strong culture. India, they have a
Yes.
very, very strong culture. It's not the Western
Yes,
culture,
sir.
right? You can't do what
Yeah.
you are doing in the Western culture here. Last time
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
management case study was all about the film industry. So films also,
Uh-huh.
we have to be very, very sensitive to the culture,
Yes, sir.
particularly in the Middle East countries. They worship Islamic religion. So we have to be
Yeah.
very, very
Yeah.
sensitive. We should not do anything that is going to disrupt their faith or disturb something like that. That can be a bit of
Yes,
a
sir.
tricky one.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Environment. Environment is a
Yeah.
very, very important one again, right? That
Uh-huh.
basically can be something externally driven. Tsunamis, floods, weather changes,
Yeah.
droughts. No
Mm-hmm.
one can predict it today. It comes suddenly, and it can be a bit of a nasty one. So all these
Yes,
things,
sir.
earthquakes, hey, how many earthquakes all over, right? Everything. You go
Yeah.
and plant, you go and do a plant in countries like Indonesia, and tomorrow you
Mm-hmm.
never know, earthquake can come and things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another thing, maybe in time to come, maybe terrorism, I don't know, right? A country
Mm-hmm.
like Bangladesh, they are doing very well at the moment, but at any
Yeah.
moment there can be attack on their business through the terrorism.
Yeah.
So all these risks, they are not something within
Yes,
your
sir.
control, but you have to
Yeah.
manage. You have to
Yes, sir.
respond and manage.
Okay, sir.
There are certain risks, what we call internally driven risks. They are all what
Okay.
we create as risks. Liquidity
Mm-hmm.
and cash flow. If you don't properly manage your cash flow, if you don't have a good
Okay.
cash forecast of all your work, you can have what we
Yes.
call liquidity problems. That is why we need good SIMA accountants who can prepare a cash forecast and tell us very well
Mm-hmm.
in advance that in August
Mm-hmm.
2017 that we are going to have a cash flow problem. So that we can
Okay.
negotiate with the bank and get a bank overdraft or whatever it may.
Mm-hmm.
Accounting controls and information. If you don't have proper accounting controls like two people signing checks, etc., etc., you can
Okay,
have
sir.
all the frauds in the world.
Okay, sir.
Information. If you don't have right information, if you're working on wrong information or outdated information, you may be
Uh-huh.
creating your own grave. Right? You must know what
Okay,
your
sir.
competitor is doing. You must know what your neighbor is doing, everything at the fingertips. Recruitment.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to be very, very careful in recruitment. Recruit the wrong fellow, you will be in trouble. So that is why we have to look at lot of background check-in, lot of reference check-in, etc.
Okay, sir.
Supply chain management. This is what I told you earlier. We must have a very
Yeah.
good eye on our suppliers. Treat them proper.
Yeah.
Treat them well. Pay them on time. Don't try to
Mm.
negotiate and put them to the lowest price so that they ultimately incur losses. Ultimately, in the long
Yeah.
term, you will be the loser. Share your
Okay.
share your profit and benefits with them also. Because I had one of my friends.
Mm.
He was working in a hotel as an accountant. Every time when these
Okay.
poor vegetable suppliers and they come to the hotel, he will bargain,
Uh-huh.
bargain, bargain to the last cent, and he will buy the
Okay.
vegetables at the cheapest price to the hotel, and ultimately
Okay,
the
sir.
poor vegetable supplier is at a loss. And I warned him several
Okay.
times, don't do this thing. But he said, no, our cost of production is the cheapest in the entire hotel chain. He went on for 1-2 years, and in the
Uh-huh.
third year, no vegetable
Uh-huh.
supplier was willing to supply vegetables to the hotel.
Uh-huh.
And ultimately what happened was my friend lost his job because the hotel could not do without the vegetables, and no one was willing to
Okay.
give vegetables so long as this fellow was there, because his attitude
Mhm.
was to exploit the supply. We must be very, very careful never to over exploit the supply.
Okay, sir.
Another important one is research and development. We live in a
Mm.
world where the things are
Uh-huh.
changing so fast. So we should be
Okay,
able
sir.
to predict what is going to be the product in 2020 like that. So for that purpose, we must spend and do lot of research and lot of development.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Employees. If you
Mm.
don't, this is why in the balance scorecard we have something called learning and innovation. Right? Innovation is
Okay.
research and development. Learning is all about our employees. We must care for our employees, protect
Mm-hmm.
our employees,
Mm-hmm.
ensure that their health and safety are done. If all those things are
Okay.
not done, if we don't pay them well, we will lose all our good employees. And
Okay, sir.
arguably, still the
Uh-huh.
most valuable resource we have in a company is our employees.
Uh-huh.
If you don't treat them, they will have enough opportunities. They will go to another company or not to another country.
Yeah.
products. This is what we call internal business perspective in the balance scorecard. We must always keep our products updated, upgraded all the time. That's why you can see even the same old product, it comes up in new packing, new branding, because you have to continue to upgrade and improve the product.
Okay, sir.
Properties. Properties is all our property, plant and equipment and whatever we have. We must protect all that.
Okay, sir.
If you don't properly maintain your properties, the property will not be able to give you the desired return. If you don't maintain your vehicle, it will not give you the return. If you don't maintain your computer systems, it will not provide you the information.
Okay, sir.
So all this is lot of work for us. So what I discussed today for just last 1 hour is all about the risk and the type of risk that what we are going to have. Next lesson we will move beyond this one. Any questions we have?
No?
Any questions we have?
No, sir. I
Right.
understood, sir.
Okay, right. So you are free to ask any questions, or if you have anything, send me an email or whatever it is. Next lesson, we are going to look at risk management. Risk management,
Okay, sir.
right? All this now we saw some of the risks. Now we have to see how are we going to manage these risks. How are we going to ensure that the risk is not too much that it will go out of our plan.
Okay, sir.
So when can we do our next lesson?
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, tomorrow I will do, sir.
Tomorrow I'm busy. Tomorrow I'm little bit
Tomorrow
busy. Tomorrow is your holiday, no?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow is holiday, sir. It's up to you, sir. If you are busy, then we will.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm little bit of a busy day tomorrow. Saturday is also your holiday, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Saturday is also your holiday. And do Saturday we can do.
Okay, sir.
Saturday, how about say 4:30 in the evening, Saturday?
4:30. So it's okay, sir.
Shall we make it Saturday 4:30?
It's up to you, sir. No problem,
Yeah.
sir.
So that is my 6 o'clock, your 4:30.
Okay, sir.
So we will make it Saturday.
Okay, sir.
Right? That is 25th. We will make it 4:30.
Okay.
Your 4:30.
Okay,
I will send you the same link, and not the same link, the same platform, but I'll send you a new link, and you can get
Okay,
into
sir.
that one, and we can use this one. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So I'll send you the recording of this lesson also later on, and let's proceed from
Okay,
here.
sir.
Okay. I'll see you on Saturday at your time, 4:30.
4. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Gerard. Take care.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye.